Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live on a Monday. Sorry, I had to change the night. Let me just get my camera situated here. All right. I think we are good. Okay. I will be attending the winter concert for a couple of my grandkids tomorrow night at 7, so I can't be there and here. So I'm going to do my live tonight. That way you do not have to go without this week. Hello, Tracy. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate that. We're going to be using a couple of stamp sets tonight. My focus really is on some quick and easy treat boxes that I wanted to share with you in case you want to make some place settings for your holiday table, or you have some little thank you gifts that you want to give out that are very inexpensive and quick and easy to make. So we're going to look at those tonight. And these are the two that we're making, but we are not making, we're not decorating them exactly like this. Okay. I've kind of made all the Christmas treats I want to make. So we're going to move forward a little bit. Hello, Cynthia. How are you feeling? You doing okay? So anyway, this is what the boxes that we'll be making. This one opens and holds two Ghirardelli squares, and it doesn't matter whether you have the kind that are filled or not. There's plenty of room in here for that. So we've got that little box. We are actually going to be making a Valentine version. And then we've got the little Christmas crackers. Excuse me. And for this, we're actually going to be making a New Year's version. So these are the stamp sets that we're going to be using tonight. Light the Sky. This is in the current mini catalog that expires at the end of the year. However, I believe this particular stamp set is carrying over. So you'll be able to get it after the new mini goes live. Okay. And then this is a sneak peek that I've had for a while and I haven't showed because you guys couldn't get it for such a long time. And now it's going to come out in the January to April 2024 mini catalog. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a sneak peek of it tonight. And this is a photopolymer stamp set. Has 24 photopolymer stamps and comes with a coordinating, I should say is bundled with the Bee Builder punch. So you can get these in a bundle. You can actually purchase them separately, but if you purchase them in a bundle together, then you save 10% over the total cost of the two items. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in tonight, and I'm going to start with the Christmas cracker. I think that's what we'll do. I think that's like the super simplest one to put together. Okay, so I brought in a piece of the Stargazing Designer Series paper, which is from the annual catalog, and this is that paper. So I don't want you to forget that this is there, and this is going to make us a beautiful little cracker. Okay, so it's good for all kinds of different things. So we've got that, and I've just taken one of the pieces, made sure that my stars are going to go in the right direction when I run this through my die cut machine because I want my stars to be right side up. So I'm going to actually use the cracker and treat box dies. Okay, so this I want my cracker to go side to side. So I'm going to make sure that when I put this on my plate, I've cut this at 6 inches. Now the other direction needs to be a minimum of, I would say, 4 3/4. I wouldn't go quite that, no, because the cutting edge goes right to the bottom. So you want to make sure that you're at, yeah, I'd really go 4. 6 by 5 is what I would, not 4, but 5. 6 by 5 is the smallest sheet I would use. I'm going to use this piece right here. We're going to run this through our die cut machine. This treat die, or this cracker die, is not new. We've had it in the catalog for a while now, but I didn't want you to forget it's there because it is so simple to make treats with this Christmas cracker die. And you can also use these for placeholders at your table. So we'll put that 1, 2, 3, and then the die and the paper and another number 3 plate. And then we're just going to run that through. And that is going to do almost all of the work for this treat box. There's not much else we need to do except for adhere everything. Let me put these plates back so they're fighting me a bit. Okay, so, excuse me, we can set these aside. Might need to get a drink of water. I'm feeling like I've got a dry spot. Okay, so that'll cut out all these little diamond shapes, and we could use those for another project or toss them, your preference. Okay, here's my little treat box now. And this cracker and treat box die, you'll find in the back of the annual catalog in the die section. It's a standalone die, but it comes with all of these wonderful little wingman dies. So you can cut all kinds of smaller sentiments with these tags. And then you've got some hearts that you could easily use for Valentine's Day or whatever, and some stars. And I use these 2 little tags all the time. So I think it's a very good investment. Okay, so this is already scored for us. So all we have to do is burnish our score lines. And I know this is dark paper and you probably can't see that, but it is all scored. So all I have to do is, let's see, I want these to go down here. I'm going to fold these in, give that a burnish. And those. There's a set of score marks here and here, but I don't even bother with those because it really isn't necessary. And then I'm going to score this little scalloped area down as well. Okay, so now we have everything ready to go. Let's grab our tear and tape. And you can pick either side, it doesn't matter because I don't have a directional paper, so I'm just going to pick one of these sides and run some tear and tape right along the edge here. And then I'm going to run another little piece on this last little scallop here and at the bottom. Okay, give that a good burnish because I don't want that to come undone. And then I'll take my take your pick tool and take off that backing. And then I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue. And I'm going to put it in these little triangle areas right here. And I don't need a bunch. I just want to give that just a little bit of adhesion. So now I can take and fold this And I find the easiest way to do this is to line up my edge here, and without tucking that down, I'm going to come up here and line up my scallops, top and bottom, and then everything else is just going to fall into place, and I can just take my fingers in there and burnish that down. Okay, and now I have my cracker treat. All right, so let's go ahead and fill this. And what did I do? Did I put away? I might have put away my ribbon. What did I do with it? No, I didn't. I set my ink on top of my ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is the gold and silver 1/8 inch trim combo. This is an online exclusive. So I'm just going to take, and I'm calling this the back of my box because that's where my seam is. So I'm going to rotate that around. And then I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to tie that up. I want to move that around one more little thing. There we go. And then we'll just tie a little bow here. This is probably the hardest part of this box, getting your fingers in here to tie the bow. So then I'm just going to take and hold my thumb on that knot and then pull my tails until I get the bow that I want. And I'm going to rotate this ribbon around so that I can see the gold. Okay, so we'll take that, tie that down, give that a snip, and then I'm going to take some Hershey's Kisses. I just happen to have some dark chocolate ones. And I'm going to put 3, 4, I can get 5 Hershey's Kisses. Oh my goodness, there. 5 Hershey's Kisses, or 2 Hershey's Nuggets, or anything of that size, basically, will go in here. So now I'm going to take this. I'm going to take another piece of that ribbon. I like to tie on the bolt. That way I can save as much ribbon as I can and have as little waste as is possible. We'll give that a nice pull. And then to get it open, all your recipient has to do is untie the bow. Oops, okay, we're running away here. Let's get this. All right. Okay, mess that up. Get our bows, try to get our bow even as the other side, and now we're ready to decorate. Okay, so for this one I am going to take a small piece of basic white, and did I not grab that small piece? I might have used it for something else already. Let's see if this is going to fit my, nope, let's get a bigger piece. For some reason, I had a piece and now I don't. I think I used it to cut something with. It's okay, we don't need much. We just need a small piece here. So I'm going to cut about 1.5 inches. And that's really all I need. And then I'm going to cut about 2 inches here. And I think this should be good. And before I get all the work done, let's double check. Yep, that's going to work. All right, let's do that. I'm going to bring in some scrap paper now. Okay. And I'm going to lay this on my scrap paper. And I'm going to bring in my ink pads. And my color combo is from the Stargazing paper. I'm going to start with some crushed curry here. I'm going to take a blending brush. And I'm just going to brush some of that crushed curry on my paper. Okay. And then I'm going to move to Orchid Oasis. And I'm using my mini blending brushes because I don't want a big area. I don't want to overdo it, so okay, so we've got that. And this is, I said, Orchid Oasis. And then we have Berry Burst. And let me get my tear and tape out of the way. And then we're just going to add this on. And right now you're thinking, ooh, that's kind of a mess. Okay. I should have set this aside to dry. Let's go ahead and do I'm going to set that aside to dry for a minute. And we're going to do our sentiment. So let's go ahead and I've taken a piece of basic white, and with the Stylish Shapes dies, I've cut one of these. Now, I could use one of these, but it doesn't quite fit my sentiment. Okay, and I'll show you what I did on my original so that I could use this. But I really wanted this to say, let's celebrate. And the only way to make that work was to use this Stylish Shapes die. So I've cut that out of basic white. And I'm going to take the sentiment, let's celebrate. And this is from the Light the Sky stamp set. It's right here. Okay. And I'm going to ink up just celebrate. Now you could put a piece of washi or a post-it note or something there. But because this is photopolymer and I can see through it, I'm just going to set it on the edge of my ink pad and ink up the celebrate, and then clear over on the right hand side of my tag. I'm going to set that down, and with very gentle pressure I'll get that image. Then I'm going to clean that off. And I'm going to wipe it with my finger so that I don't have any wetness on my stamp. And then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to ink up just the word let's. And then I'm going to place this about in the center of celebrate and try to get that as straight as I can. And there is the sentiment for our treat box. Okay. So let's go ahead now. I'm going to give that piece that we did the ink blending on, I'm going to dry that just a tad with my heat tool. I just want to make super sure that the ink is good and dry. Okay, because we're going to do some dry embossing, and I want to make absolute sure that I don't get embossing powder where I don't want it. Although, when you're doing a firework like we are, it probably isn't so critical because it'll just look like sparks. Okay, so now I'm going to take this image from the Light the Sky, and that's this one right here. And I'm going to use Versamark. It's a sticky clear ink. And I'm just going to, ooh, hold on. I almost forgot my embossing buddy. I want to make sure that I put my embossing buddy down so that my embossing powder is less likely to stick where I don't want it. Now we can, I'm going to put this right in the center there. Let that sit for a minute and the ink transfer. Okay. And then we're going to take some, we're going to bring on our embossing additions tray. And we're going to get some white embossing powder. And I'm going to pour that right on top of my image. And then there we go. Okay. So it looks like I missed a little bit here at the top. Okay, that looks really good. And I didn't really dump any into the tray, so we're good there. Yay. Otherwise, I could just dump that right back in. So the embossing additions comes with an embossing buddy and a brush, the tray, and then it comes with some reverse tweezers. And these have a Teflon head so that they don't get hot. And I'm going to use those to hold my paper so I don't burn my fingers. And then I'm going to grab my heat tool, turn that on high. The Stampin' Up! Heat tool has two settings, low and high. Low is for drying and high is for embossing. And I'm just going to hold that here until I see that embossing powder turn glossy white. And then I'm done. Make sure that I don't have anything left. I'm going to give that a second to dry. Okay. And unfortunately, this does not have a die to cut it out. And I want it cut out. The dies in here, these 4 dies, actually these 5 dies, cut either emboss or cut holes in your paper. And this is the only die that cuts around a firework. And it cuts this large firework. So we have to fussy cut our image, but it doesn't take very long. So we're just going to take and fussy cut this out just a little bit. I'm just going to turn my paper with my left hand and go around, give it a smooth turn. I'll get better rounded edges if I do that. Just turn the paper with my left hand and open and close the scissors with my right. And then this is going to give us a pretty cool looking firework to put on our project here. Sorry, I'm concentrating. It's hard to talk and fussy cut for me. Almost done, and there we go. Then if I see I've got a little bit of a rough edge there, I'll just go back and trim that up, and there we have our little firework. Okay? Thanks, Tracy. I'm glad I make that look easy. It really isn't that hard for me. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and place this sentiment piece on my cracker here. And I need my, oops, I bumped, sorry. I didn't make anybody seasick. Okay, then I'm just going to come down and place this stylus shaped die there. It's almost a perfect fit. Then we're going to grab a Stampin' Dimensional, and we're going to put that right in the center of our firework. And we'll add our little firework over here, like so, and there is our little cracker. Quick, easy little treat. Doesn't take you very long. You can use these for any occasion. And like I said, if you wanted to make these a placeholder, you could just put the person's name, and then you would have a really cool setting for the table. All right, so that's project number 1. I hope you like that. It doesn't get any easier than crackers when all the work is done ahead of time for you. Because you could easily just place a sentiment on there and be done. Okay, so there we go. So we've got this one. Here's how I did my original one. And I just did celebrate, and I used that rounded die from the cracker and treat box die right here. But as you can tell, there wasn't enough room for the let's. So which one do you like better? There we go. And then, of course, we have our actual Christmas one. Now, you can see that you could do these for any occasion. Super easy to do. There we are. Okay, let's clean this up, and we'll move on to our next project. Let me get this sticky ink off of my stamp. Oh, and I wanted to show you a sample of a card that I made, kind of to go along with this. And this uses three of the dies from the Light the Sky. I've taken a piece of Starry Sky cardstock and ink blended Orchid Oasis, Azure Afternoon, and Balmy Blue on a piece of basic white. And then I put a piece of some glitter paper behind it. And this is the tricolor shimmer paper, I think is what it's called. Okay, so I just cut that in there, and then it looks like you've got some beautiful fireworks going. Let me bring that down better into the, there you go, into the frame for you. All right, so you could put together a little card and treat box that way pretty easily. That card has very little stamping on it. Just ink blend your paper, cut the dies, and you can run those all through about the same time and get it all done. Okay, next project. All right, so for this project, we're going to be using some new product from the mini catalog. We've got the Hearts and Flowers adhesive backed little embellishments here. They come in, I haven't written it on here yet, Sweet Sorbet, Petal Pink, Daffodil Delight, and Coastal Cabana, I believe. Okay, so we've got those. And we've got some of the Designer Series paper. And this collection is called Be Mine. So we've got 6 double-sided designs. We're going to be using this one. And we've got this. And some sweet little flowers. I love those bees. And you've got hearts and some more bees. And then we've got some honey pots with some bee trails. And I think that's all of them. Let me see if I missed one. Oh, I did. Here's the one you haven't seen. Right here, we've got some flowers. And then on the other side is a petal pink and sweet sorbet stripe. Okay. So that's the paper from the Be Mine. And I'm going to show you that even if you don't have the Be Mine stamp set and punch, you can still make these boxes with just the paper. Okay, so let's get out our pieces. I've got a piece of the bee trail that is 2 1/8 by 3/4 of an inch. We're using the hive that is 2 1/8 by 2 1/8 inch square. Then I've cut the tag from the cracker and treat dies. I've cut that square tag. We're going to use that. And here is our template. So let's go ahead and get our box made. And I'm going to set that here for just a minute so that you can take a photo if you want while I grab my Simply Scored tool. This box template was originally made by Marissa Alvarez, and I changed it just a tad because I didn't like the way she cut hers. I like when she set hers up, she has her little notch in the front, and I don't like that. I like a very smooth front. So I changed it around, and you don't need as much. She did this at 6 1/2, and you don't need a 1/2 inch glue tab. So I cut that down a little bit. All right, so we're going to start with a piece of paper, cardstock, that is 6 3/8 by 5 1/4. And on the 6 3/8 inch side, we're going to score this at 2 1/4, 3 inches, 5 1/4, and 6. And then we're going to score on the 5 1/4 inch side at 3/4, 1 1/2, 3 3/4, and 4 1/2. Okay, and that's all of the scoring. So let's fold and burnish on our score lines. This just makes our box go together and look nicer. Okay. Now, when you're looking at this skinny little tab over here on the skinny little section over here on the right, this is our glue tab. We have nothing over here. So this is our glue tab. This is our top or bottom. It depends on how you put it together. And this is a fold flat box, so you can make these up and then fold them flat to store them until you need them. So I'm going to start on this skinny little rectangle, and in the center long rectangle, I'm going to angle cut to the left toward the 2 rectangles here, and angle cut right toward the 2 rectangles on the right. Then I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to cut on the first score line right outside the score line, and I'm going to meet up with that cut, and I'm going to remove those 2 rectangles, and I'm going to repeat that down here, cutting the entire score line out, and removing those 2 rectangles. All right, so now we're just going to cut up each of our score lines, our vertical score lines, to the second horizontal score line. And I'm going to cut up on this right hand side that I have. I'm going to cut to the left of the first score line so that I'm cutting off the score line from the large rectangle. I'm going to repeat that here, but this time I'm going to cut to the right of that score line so that I have a clean 2 rectangles here. I'm going to do it a little bit differently on this side because we don't need these 2 pieces. And then that will make this the top. Okay, so whichever side you cut, it's going to become the top. Or actually, it doesn't matter. Never mind, check that. Okay, so we're going to cut to the right of this score line here. Okay, then I'm going to cut along this score line, removing the score line entirely at the second, meeting up with that cut and removing those 2 pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to cut up, but I'm going to cut to the left of this score line, just outside the score line to remove that. And then I'm going to cut on the second score line and remove those 2 large rectangles. Okay, so now I have a single large square here. Okay, next we're going to cut up on these score lines, and this time we're going to cut so that we cut the score line off of the large rectangles. So we're going to cut to the left of the score line on the right and to the right of the score line on the left. All right, let's fold these in. Hope you're with me so far. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks, Tracy. Now we're going to cut. We've got these, and we're going to cut these at this score line, and we're going to remove that score line entirely. These are our side tuck tabs. We're going to do that on both sides and remove those little squares entirely. Okay? And then your box should look like this. Okay, we're almost there. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave those in, and I'm going to angle cut my tabs just a little bit, and that will allow my top tabs to tuck in. I don't want to remove too much because I don't want them popping out, but I do need to remove a sliver or they won't tuck inside the box. And I'll show you that in just a moment. And this is actually what makes this the fold flat box. Okay, so we're just going to angle cut all those little squares. And really, it's just a teeny tiny amount that I'm taking off. Okay, now let's bring in a 3/4 inch circle punch. And here's where I need to decide where my top is. I tend to like to fold this way. So I'll fold on the second. Whatever, it works either way, it doesn't matter. It's just your preference, okay? So because this is my preference to fold the glue tab in this way, this will be the top of my box. So this is where I'm going to put my finger notch, and I'm just going to take a 3/4 inch punch. You can get these just about anywhere. If you have a 1/2 inch, that'll work. If you want a larger tuck tab, use an inch. And I'm just going to put that in the middle and give that a little half circle, less than half a circle. Okay, now let's take a corner rounder and we will round the corners on the top of both of these large rectangles. And that's going to allow our tuck tab to fold into our box. Now I can take and get rid of those. Let's get some tear and tape. And this is the outside of our box and this is the inside. So we're going to, on the outside of our box, we're going to take our tear and tape. I'm going to put my tear and tape right up next to, but not over, my score line, because I don't want my box to gape. And if I put it at the edge here, my box will gape. And I don't like that, so I always, on these types of boxes, go right next to the score line. So now I can take my tear and tape backing off, fold over onto itself any extra adhesive, turn this over on the second score line from the left. I'm going to fold that down. And on the first score line from the right, I'm going to fold that down. And I'm going to bring those to meet each other. And if I were wanting to make these for later, I could do my box this far and leave it go. But we're going to go ahead and finish it. So I'm going to turn mine over. Remember, this is what I call the back of my box. I can fold all these in if I want to. And if you find you're having a little bit of trouble folding it in, you can always trim a little bit more of your side tabs and it'll pop in. Okay, so this is what our box looks like now. To make this easier on myself, I'm going to pop those out. I'm going to turn that over to the front. I'm going to take my piece of designer series paper. I did mine at 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. To save paper, you could do 2 by 2 because you could get a whole lot of boxes out of it if you did 2" by 2". But I'm going to do this. So I've got a 2 1/8" square of my Be Mine Designer Series paper. I'm going to put that on. Then I'm going to take my strip of my second Designer Series paper. And I'm going to add this. Did I do those tweezers? Okay. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it just about right here. And then we're going to do a little bit of stamping. Okay. So let's set this aside. And let's bring in our scrap paper and our bees. And we're going to take the bee body and the bee wings and this and this and this. Okay, this is what we need. All right, so we're going to do that. And we're going to start with Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to start with the bee body. And I want to take a look at my punch, which I already don't know what I did with it. Oh, that's bad. Oh, I covered it up with the stamp set. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at my bee body. And I'm going to see where that's going to go into my punch so that I know where I want to do this so I don't waste a bunch of paper. So I think really what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this right here and right here. This way I'll have something to hold on to. And then I can just slide this into my punch like this and I won't waste a ton. Okay? So always look at your punch. And no, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to go this way actually. Yep, I'm going to go this way because this is going to work better for me. I need more room. So I'm going to put my bee body here. And then I'm going to take my memento. And while that's drying for a second, I'm going to stamp my little antennas. And I just need a scrap here, so I'm just going to stamp right there. And let's go ahead. I really want that black to dry well before I put my, or the yellow to dry well before I put my black on it. So let's set that aside for a second. And let's bring in our petal pink. And I need a piece of scrap paper here. I'm going to take this that looks like a heart, and I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it off. And then I'm going to stamp it right here. And then I'm going to take my other little wing things here. I'm going to ink that up full strength. I'm going to try to place that over the top, just like that. Okay, so we've got that. And now let's go back to the black and we'll get our body here. I'm going to ink that up. And then I'm going to place this in here, and I'm trying to get my stinger right at the edge here and line up those stripes on the yellow. Set that down, let that ink transfer so that I get a really solid image. Okay, then I'm going to take my bee face and I'm going to ink that up. And that should be most of our stamping. Now let's go ahead and bring in our sentiment stamp. And this is again that tag from the cracker and treat box dies. And I'm going to take my sweet sorbet, and I am again going to do some stamping. I'm going to take this and ink it up the mine. And I'm going to put this down here. Okay. Clean that off. This is one of my favorite techniques that I like to do, is to take a long sentiment like this and turn it into a double, which makes it more versatile. And I think it's easier to go from a long sentiment to a stacked sentiment than go from a stacked sentiment to a long sentiment. So we're just going to take the bee now, place that down there, and there we are. Now our sentiment is done. We can set that aside. And let's get that cleaned up before I put my arm or something in it. That would be bad. Let's get these out of here too before I put my arm in those. Okay. More likely to get the sweet sorbet everywhere than those others. All right, so for this now, I can take this and put this into my punch. Oh, and before I do that, you can cut these out with the little heart if you want to, but I didn't like the look of that necessarily for this project. So I'm going to fussy cut these because I can, and I don't mind. They're pretty simple, especially when you just rotate your cardstock with your opposite hand. cut those out real quick, and then we won't have a bunch of excess cardstock. Now I am keeping a little bit of a glue tab there at the bottom. So we've got that, and I had to do that before I cut this because of where I stamped it. So now we'll just put this piece into our punch. If I can get it to go. Come on. It's best if you don't have a cut up piece of cardstock. Slides in and out of the punch a little bit easier. So we're going to line that up as best we can and give that a punch. And there's our little bee. And then we're going to put our wings into our punch. Line those up as best we can. I don't feel like I have that in there very good. I should have punched it, I should have stamped at the bottom of my paper rather than at the top, but it's okay, it's going to work. I will get this in here the way I want it. There we go. This is the little heart that you could use to stamp your little antennas on. They do fit. It just leaves all that excess that I didn't want. Okay? But you can do it however you like it. So there are our pieces for our bee. And let's go ahead and put him together. I'm going to use glue dots because that's my preference for things like this. And I'm going to, on the front side, the stamp side of my little antennas, I'm going to put a glue dot. And then I'm going to lift that off. And I'm actually going to set that down where I want it. Place that down. I'm going to do the same thing with my wings. Although, before I do my wings, you know me, we got to do the wing Castella. So let's get that on there and get some shine and speckle on those wings. And then we'll take another glue dot, and on the front side, we're going to glue dot that. I'm going to set those at a little bit of an angle. And there we go. So there's my little bee ready to go. Let's go ahead and flip him over. Give him a dimensional. So I'm going to put a dimensional where those pieces come together, just for extra security. And then I'm going to grab some minis. Oh, I knocked that again. Sorry, guys. I'm going to put a mini up here, and here, and here. I like to make sure I don't have saggy dimension. I like it to be solid. So we'll remove those backings. Let's bring in our box. I'm going to put my little bee down here, just like so. Then we're going to take our sentiment and we're going to put that up here in the upper corner, just like that. And then we need some twine. I've got some sweet sorbet twine. This is from the 2022 to 2024 in color baker's twine pack. And I'm gonna grab my bow jig. I'm gonna do a double bow. And we'll tie that up. Get that knot in the center. And then we'll give that a little trim. And we'll take our glue dots again. And I like to take my bow to the glue dot, put it right in the center. And then I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to pinch that glue dot up into the knot. And then we're going to add that right here. Okay. Now, let's take our hearts and flowers, adhesive backed hearts and flowers, and let's decide what we want to put on here. I think I'm going to go for, let's go, get my putty off. I'm going to use my pokey end. Just don't want to move off there very well. So let's take one of those. And then I'm going to take a couple of the, I'm going to take one of these and put it there. And then I'm going to put one here. Okay. So now all we have to do is add, close this up when we're ready. We could fold it and leave it flat like that until we are ready. And let's grab a couple of peppermint squares. And we'll put those in there. Peppermint bark. And there is our box. Okay, so we've got this box. I also made a box today where I used just the designer series paper, although this sentiment did come from the Be Mine stamp set. But if you didn't want the Be Mine stamp set in punch, you could get the paper and then use whatever sentiment you have and cut those out. Okay, so we've got those, and we've got our Christmas version. So you know that that is good for all seasons, any occasion. It'll hold the regular Ghirardelli squares as well. You don't have to have the peppermint bark ones. All right, so let's go ahead and bring back in our projects for tonight. Oh, this is not the right one. This is. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed that and that you're inspired to make some little boxes for yourself to give out. Oh, hello, Robin. I'm so glad that you all joined me. Thank you so much. Now, I believe I'm good for next Tuesday night. I don't think I have anything going. No concerts. That'll be all done. And Nutcracker is over on Saturday, so that's not an issue either. All right, everybody. I will see you next Tuesday. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot one of the most important announcements. Free shipping will be on Thursday, December 14th. That's this Thursday. For us here in the Pacific Northwest, in the Pacific time zone, that means that your free shipping sale starts at 11:01 p.m. Wednesday night, December 13th, but it also ends at 10:59 p.m. Thursday, December 14th. Okay? Because all of the free shipping starts in Mountain Time Zone, and we're an hour behind them. So Wednesday night, 11:01 p.m. to Thursday night, 10:59 p.m. Free shipping, any order over $75 before tax. And if you need to order something that's less than $75, get a hold of me before Wednesday night. Let me know what you need and I will add it. I'll combine orders to get you your free shipping. Okay? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next Tuesday. Good night.